All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here, Mark P Markets. Thank you for joining me for another Bitcoin video session. If you're new to the stream, let me explain to you how this works real quick. So first thing we're going to do is go over the economic calendar. Second, I will talk about this Bitcoin situation briefly because there are a few things to be said here, especially if you're working on smaller time frames. And then third, we're going to go right into the trades. All right. So I want to see what kind of trades we can find today using the Trade Scanner Pro. All right. With all that said, let's get started. Let me pull up my special slide here. Oh, hold on, wrong button. Okay, here we go. So this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. All right. So first things first, economic calendar. Let me explain. We have a pretty busy week this week. All right. So, oh, by the way, if you want to share what city or what country you're from, that's always a fun fact. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as Northern New Jersey. And I got my regulars, Milad, how are you? And Savi, how you doing? From Brooklyn. He doesn't talk anything like that. Anyway, hope to see you guys at the next CMT function, whenever that is. I haven't checked the calendar yet. I have to check. Anyway, but thanks for joining me, you guys. Okay, so economic calendar. Number one, we have a pretty heavy week. So tomorrow, beginning with tomorrow, we have the Bank of Canada rate announcement. That's not the biggest news in the world, but it can affect CAD pairs if you trade Forex, but it's not a major dollar mover. So I wouldn't be too worried about that one. On Wednesday, we have the FOMC meeting. That's a heavy one. So that usually the rate announcement comes out at 2 p.m. Eastern time, followed by the press conference at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Why this is so important, for one, is it can create a range expansion intraday out of nowhere. So don't sit there and try to anticipate what the Fed is going to do. It doesn't matter what they do. What matters is how the market reacts to the whole news information that comes out. That's the main thing. Let the market figure it out. One of the important things about going into FOMC meetings is usually the day before or the afternoon before, volume can get very light and movements can get very erratic and very hard to deal with. So that's especially important for smaller time frames. Please keep that in mind. That's Wednesday. Thursday, we have the ECB rate announcement. So that can affect the euro crosses, and potentially affect the dollar. That's usually an overnight news item. So I believe that's 3 a.m. Eastern time or 4 a.m. Eastern time. I don't know the exact timestamp. You're going to have to double check that. And then on Friday, we have the core PCE, or core consumer price expenditures, something like that. It's an inflationary number. And it's a number that the Fed obviously looks at. I believe that's a 10 a.m. number, but again, double check the timestamp. It could be an 8:30 a.m. number. Sometimes, there's usually something at 8:30 a.m. or it could be 10 a.m. or 10:30. Just check the timestamp. Again, that could be a market mover if there are any surprises. So there are some important things coming out this week. You want to be prepared. If you're taking swing trades, perhaps if you have a signal going into such an event, you want to trade smaller or something along those lines. Mitigate the risk, because again, there could be a surprise and you don't want to be on the wrong side of that. The outcome is, I like to think of it as random, because we don't know how the market's going to react to the information. It's going to react, it gets priced in, and then from there, you have a better idea of what's happening. All right. So that's the economic outlook. There's also, I saw something about, there are some stocks this week, some important stocks with quarterly reports. I checked the list. I couldn't find any stocks, that were of major, importance. So, but there are quarterly reports coming out this week, so that those can also have an effect on the market, particularly after hours or pre-market. So just something to keep an eye on as well. But again, I had not seen any major names on the list. Maybe I was looking at the wrong list. All right, so that's it on that front. Let's talk about Bitcoin, shall we? And let me make this chart bigger, because I'm sure you've had enough of my big head. All right, there we go. Actually, I like this one better. There we go. All right. By the way, feel free to ask questions as I go through this. If you're not sure of something or whatever, or if you'd like to comment on something, please feel free. All right, this is an interactive session. That's why I put on the title Q&A, so you can ask questions. Now, let's just talk about Bitcoin real quick. right? What's going on? I published my article yesterday on TradingView, as I do every Sunday. And again, I was highlighting this level. There was not much to talk about. My article was kind of brief because there was really not a whole lot to say. Not much had changed since the week before. We were still lingering around this 105 area. Now, this is what I mean about opinions. People get all opinionated and people think this, oh, it's doing this, oh, it's going to go to 24 million, all this nonsense that I see. Meanwhile, we were hesitating for days near the 105 area. Now, there is no precision here. This thing was as high as 107, 108. What is this, 109, the high there? Yeah, that's the all-time high, 109, 358, all the way up here. Yet, look where we are now. So that's why you can't get all jumbled up in that nonsense and have an opinion. Yes, generally Bitcoin is bullish, but we were fooling around a resistance level for quite some time and price was struggling around there. So what does that tell us? For one, you should not be confident with longs. If you're taking day trades, sure, no problem. You take your small bite, but swing trades, this was a high risk area for swing trades. And now anyone that got caught in that, you're paying for it. Especially if you use leverage. You're stuck in this thing now. Okay. Hey, Alex, the FOMC is going to be very important. Yes. And that's because the guidance, that's really like the key thing. What are they going to say about are they going to set a tone for the year? What are they saying? What are they going to say about future cuts or whatever, especially with the new administration and the pressure that I'm sure Powell is getting from the new administration and their agenda. So yes, it's going to be important. The guidance that he gives at the press conference can potentially set the tone for the year, possibly, or at least lead to a dramatic move because of that perception. So certainly something to keep in mind. Thanks for pointing that out, Alex. So yeah, so now these markets are selling off. The S&P started out today minus 150 points before the open. That's a big move for the S&P. To start out that way, basically gapping 150 points. By the time the market opened, it was only minus 100 points. But again, that's a lot for the S&P. Notice Bitcoin is basically behaving in a similar fashion. They're connected. There is a relationship there. All right. So, yeah. Now, in my article, and this is why I want to point this out, we're talking about support and resistance levels primarily. Yes, we know the trend, but the support and resistance levels are going to be just as important. We rejected the 105 area basically, and we went to the 100 area, not 100 even, because this low is 97,715. Very hard to step in front of these, especially on a large time frame like a daily chart. So an important point to this whole thing is when you're if you're looking for trades on this time frame, you can get your levels from this time frame, but I really think it helps to work with like a 4-hour chart or something to get some sort of confirmation in this area if you're looking for longs around the 100K area, because this was an area to consider long, because right now, where are we at? We're at 99,739, but this thing went to 97. So confirmation is the key, and stepping in front of this can be very hard. Working with something like the Trade Scanner Pro in counter trend mode, because that's what you would need to do in such an area, because this momentum is highly bearish, but you're anticipating the support, right? This is where you would use a tool like that. And what's nice about something like the Trade Scanner Pro, it tells you your profit objective for the smaller time frame. The mistake you want to avoid is you don't want to get long here and be like, all right, I'm long, but I don't know where to get out now. Because at this moment, while it's trying to bounce, this doesn't really mean a whole lot on this time frame. This candle may close on its low. The next candle, tomorrow's candle, may develop into an inside bar. Okay, that looks like this. Here, I'll draw a real quick picture of it. The inside bar, you may get something like this tomorrow. Whether it's red or green, it doesn't matter. And then the next day, the low of that inside bar, which happens to be FOMC meeting day, the low of that inside bar can be broken, and that would be a bearish signal. You don't want to get caught long in those situations. Maybe you're trying for the long around here for a small bite. Use the Trade Scanner Pro profit objectives to figure out where you should be getting out. Putting your profit objective way up here, while it's a nice idea, there's nothing there at the moment. that justifies that. Now, if you get the inside bar tomorrow and the break of the inside bar high, then possibly that might be a reasonable profit objective for this time frame. So the stop loss and the profit objective are always going to be relevant to your time frame. And that's why the Trade Scanner Pro solves that problem, or really helps to solve that problem for you. So you don't have to figure out, well, where do I put my stop? Where do I put my profit objective, right? But you do have to know what type of trade you're looking for. It can't really tell you that. Not yet. All right, so that's where we are with Bitcoin. We're testing the 100K support. This is a support area. It's a place to look for longs on small time frames. When I say small time frames, I'm talking about 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, even 30 minute, right? You're looking for something like that, and you're looking for a small bite. That's where your lowest risk opportunity, in my opinion. The real levels, because this 100K, it's sort of a level, but the bounce should have been much sharper. We should have barely touched it, but instead we went through it, right? And that's trying to bounce now. The move should have been more like this, where it kind of touches and it goes, right? We don't have that here. So the real level on this time frame is really around here, this area, which is what? 95. And if 95 is cleared, you're looking at the low 90s, right? This is 89 over here. My arrow is pointing. That's 89. So that's the key support on this time frame. This is the major support area. So if you're going to take longs and have greater expectations of those longs, you want to be doing that in this range here, the lower range, not here. This is the middle. This is the middle of the consolidation. We can say we have a consolidation here, and this is the middle of it. This is the consolidation, and we're in the middle. As you know, I've said it before, the middle is the most random spot in the whole situation, the whole area. So the middle is the worst place to take trades and then have an opinion around them, because it's highly random. Anything can happen in the middle. It can go lower, it can go higher, it can do whatever. Probability is more favorable at the extremes, right? The range lows or the range highs. That's where behavior can be anticipated with a higher probability. All right, so I'm going to leave you with that. If you have any questions, let me know. Let's jump right into the trade, shall we? So when we talked about this a week earlier, right? We talked about using the most current momentum to be our guide. Now, let me back up a bit here. If you want to learn how the Trade Scanner Pro works, there's a link in the description, so I don't have to explain that all here. Go to the link, click on the video there, and there's a whole video where I explain how the Trade Scanner Pro works. Now, the goal here is to first come up with a trade idea so that we could use the Trade Scanner Pro. When you first get your Trade Scanner Pro, by the way, it looks like this. All right, there's a 14-day free trial. There's a link in the description for that as well. You have to make sure that you turn on all these buttons, right, when you first get it, except for counter trend, because counter trend is something we have to figure out if we need or not. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to know, before I even get to the chart or before I get to a trade idea, I want to know what type of trade am I looking for. I need to know this in advance. This is something I need to actively decide. Am I a day trader or am I a swing trader? You must know this in advance. I cannot emphasize this enough. So for purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to be a day trader, right? That's usually how I demonstrate these. Hey, all right, cool. Bakwi, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I hope I pronounced your name properly. All right, cool. Thanks, I appreciate that. All right, now, so I'm going into this with the day trade mindset. That's very important. Okay, I know I keep repeating myself, but people don't do this. You can't just jump at any trade just because a trade idea appears. You have to know what you're looking for first. The Trade Scanner Pro is a confirmation and management tool. It is not a forecasting tool. Now, so since I know I want to be a day trader, I'm starting out on the hourly chart because I need to gain context. I need to understand where the market's at on the roadmap so I can figure out what type of trade I should be looking for. So I could lean on the right side of the probability. That's what I'm looking for. Now, so I'm going to ignore all of this information up here, okay? I'm going to ignore all of this. I'm only most interested in this, Okay, this recent movement, and this recent movement. That's really all I'm interested in as a day trader, because I'm interested in local levels, not big picture levels, unless we're at one, right? So I want to draw some levels on the chart. That's the first thing I want to do. So I have a support over here. That's clearly a support area, all right? I have a resistance area up here. That's pretty clear on an hourly chart. Now, remember, I'm not going to trade the hourly chart. I'm just looking for context. As a day trader, I'm going to work on a smaller time frame. So you could basically work on two time frames here. A larger one for your context and your trade idea. That's where your trade idea is going to come from. And then your smaller time frame is where you're going to take action, define risk, and define your profit objective. That's what the Trade Scanner Pro does for me on my smaller time frame. The smaller the time frame, the smaller the risk, and the smaller the profit objective. As a day trader, I'm interested in smaller risk. So let's see what we can come up with here. Now, trend is going to be tricky here because we can define trend in many ways, right? I'm only interested in the most recent action. I'm only interested in this area here, really. So how do I define trend in this area? Okay, let's see what we got, right? We have a higher low over here, okay? But we have a lower high up here. So we can say, at this point, we can say that this is potentially a consolidation. It never made the lower low. So I can't really argue that this is still a bearish trend. We never really made the low. This is a higher low. It's not a lower low. And I don't see any higher highs. So we can't argue that this is a bullish trend either. So you have these situations where it can be confusing. In fact, the market is in this situation often where it's consolidating. So if we have that identified, then really what we want to pay attention to are the support and resistance levels. So right now, I know one thing. In this area here, I'm interested in longs in this area. Where we are right now, this is going to be a tough spot because I don't really have anything to work with here. We're sort of in the middle again. And the middle is highly random. So this is going to be tricky. I can also say up here in this area, somewhere up here, if I'm going to look for shorts, it should be somewhere up in this area, up in here somewhere, if I'm going to look for shorts, right? So I have my action areas defined. I know what areas I should be looking for what type of trade. Right now, I'm pretty much in the random zone. This is going to be a tough spot. So now let's go to the Trade Scanner Pro. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm going to switch this over. I'm going to switch this daily chart to the 1 hour chart so we can keep an eye on it. All right. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to change this to the MEXC chart. So Bitcoin, perp. I'm going to MEXC just because that's what I like to use for the examples. I got some strange lines on the chart here. I got to remove those. All right. Now, so you guys following me on the context? Let me know if you have questions about that. This could be confusing. And this is the hardest part of dealing with the Trade Scanner Pro is coming up with your trade idea first. Once the Trade Scanner Pro spots and confirms the trade, that's the easy part. That's where you just basically let go of all of your ideas and let the Trade Scanner Pro guide you from there. Okay? Now, so on this chart here that I'm moving around, this chart, I'm going to change this to my 1 minute chart because this is where I'm looking for trades. Now, my Trade Scanner Pro is on, right? And I have all my settings set up properly. What's my Trade Scanner Pro telling me? Well, if you look at, I'm going to make this chart. Let me expand this chart. When I look up here, it's telling me that the trend is bearish. Okay, so that's telling me that the most recent momentum is bearish. But the thing is, I'm sorry, this is a monthly chart. Wrong chart. Sorry, hold on. Monthly chart is bearish. That's weird. All right, so this is my 1 minute chart, and it's bullish. All right, that makes sense. Sorry for the confusion there. I put the wrong thing in the time frame. All right, so can we agree with that? The most recent momentum? Well, yeah, look, higher low, higher high. All right, higher low, consolidation. No higher high here. but we have a higher high here. All right. All right. So that momentum is bullish. Now, again, remember, I'm in a random zone. I've identified that. So this is going to be tricky. It means trades are probably going to have a lower probability. So that tells me a few things. I should probably be a little more selective, a little more conservative with my trades, and I should probably not expect any runners. I should probably take my profits at my profit objective compared to if I was at a major support level or a major resistance level, and I take a trade at such a level, having a greater expectation of the trade, a runner, would make more sense. And that's where my trailing stop would come in, right? But I don't have that situation here. So anything can happen in this mid zone, this middle area, and I have to keep that in mind. Remember, markets, especially on smaller time frames, are highly random. Now, if you notice on the chart here, I have some previous trades. These are previous trades, which they may have been worth something. Let's see, if you roll over the trade, it tells you this was a losing trade, minus 244. This one was a losing trade, minus 319. Ah, that's not good. How about this one? Profit, 421 points. All right. So this just tells you like what the recent action is. Notice these were all bearish, right? These two were bearish. Now, that just kind of helps to give you a sense of the environment. This thing looks like it's going for the little mini higher high here. All right. I'm not going to go long now because there's nothing to do here. I'm on a 1 minute chart. So I have a few choices here. We're nowhere near the resistance from what I determined earlier. So I'm open to the long side, but I'm not going to take this long right here. I'm chasing it at this point. So what can I do? Now, what I'm about to show you is something that I don't recommend for beginners. All right? If you're a beginner, you really shouldn't be going below a 1 minute chart. In fact, I recommend a 5 minute or a 15-minute chart when you're working on day trade time frames because they're slower and things change a lot less often. They're a little easier to deal with. But in a situation like this, the market's moving, this is kind of moving fast, and it may take a long time for me to get a signal. In fact, look how long it's been since I've gotten a signal. 64 bars, that's 64 minutes. That's over an hour that I have not gotten a signal on the 1 minute. So do I want to sit here and look, this thing is running now, right? Do I want to sit here and wait all that? And who knows how long the signal will come along. Now, as a beginner, someone who's using a larger time frame, it's not really practical to sit in front of a computer for 2 hours waiting for a signal. That can be really annoying. So you can go to TradingView and you can go to setting a notification over here. See this? And you can set a notification. And you can basically tell TradingView to let you know when a new signal appears, a new heads up appears, or whatever. Those things, you will get a message from TradingView. Whether it's by email, you tell TradingView how you want to be notified. Could be a pop-up on your app, and then you don't have to wait in front of your computer, which is ideal. But in this situation here, since I'm doing a demonstration, I want to show you everything in real time. I'm not going to walk away for 2 hours and wait for a signal, right? So what do I have to do? I have to look for a smaller time frame. I have to look on a smaller time frame. So we're going to check 15 seconds. This is sub 1 minute. I do not recommend this for beginners because things change very quickly and things can be very dramatic on these time frames. But sometimes it's the only place I can find a signal frequently enough, right? I mean, look, there were a couple of longs over here. Look at that on the 15-second chart because that's the way Bitcoin is moving right now. So I'm going to turn on my trade panel and I'm going to see if I could find a trade. I'm going to set up for 2 contracts, two coins. Now, let me explain something while we're waiting for this little pullback here. Because remember, the Trade Scanner Pro essentially looks for pullbacks. So here's a pullback. Let's see if we get something. By the way, these green columns are heads up. They're called heads up. That's the heads up feature. It highlights this little yellow candle that shows up. The heads up lets us know that a signal is likely to appear soon. It can take 3 to 5 candles, right? That's what a heads up tells us. It doesn't guarantee that a signal will appear, but it prepares us that we should be expecting one soon. I don't see a heads up here. So we have a little time. Now, one thing I want to mention is right now I'm showing these examples. I'm still showing them on paper. This is not real money that I trade on these demonstrations. but I'm planning to. So if I'm taking a real trade, by the way, it will be on a decentralized exchange, and the typical profit or loss is important to understand because I will be working with a $1,000 account when it comes to real money, which means making $300 or $400 in a trade or losing $300 or $400 in a trade would be impractical, and that's too high risk for such a small account. So typical profit, $30, $40. Like if I'm pulling that on $1,000 account, that's like 3 or 4% in one trade. That's a lot. And if I'm losing $20, $30, $40, that's kind of as far as I want to go there. If I'm losing $100 on a $1,000 account, I'm losing 10% of the account in one trade. Not practical. So it's important to understand like the realistic profit and loss situation for a small account. If you're someone who has first of all, if you're someone that thinks $1,000 is a lot of money, you're in the wrong game. I'm sorry to tell you, you should go do something else because you're never going to win. All right, I'm talking about $1,000 account because I know it's realistic for a lot of people, but it's really not a lot of money in terms of the bigger picture. So that's why making $20 or $30 in a trade is a lot of money on a $1,000 account relative to the account. If you want to make real money in this game, you have to have a large account. That's why prop firms do so well at attracting traders with no money, because that's their value proposition. I'm not going to go off my rant on prop firms right now, but I have very, very, very little good things to say about them. All right. Yes, their value proposition is attractive, but that's about all. That's the only really good thing I can say. Everything else, and I'll get into more about prop firms soon. And I don't have any affiliate relationship with any of them. I have nothing good to say about them. Nothing. Okay. So we'll get into that another time. Anyway, I'm waiting for a trade here, and there's nothing. I'm on a 15-second chart, and I'm still not getting anything. So do I have to go to a 5-second? I really don't like 5-second charts, but I may have to. Oh, look, there's a signal. Right? On the 5-second, it's at the profit objective. I'm not touching that. Now notice, this is a 5-second chart. Notice the risk on this. It's tiny. It's minuscule. What is that? 61 points. That's nothing for Bitcoin. 61 points is practically the spread on some platforms for this contract. Now understand, I'm looking at the perpetual futures contract. That's very important. What I'm showing you here is not something that's practical for the spot market. The cost, especially when you're dealing with day trades, the cost is not practical. It's very hard to make money when you have to spend $200 on a trade, right? So this is for perpetual futures only. If you're in the US, you're going to have a hard time with this. That's why you're going to have a VPN, especially if you want to use the decentralized exchange that I'm considering. I'm not telling you their name right now, but so far they're reasonable. So far I'm liking my experience, but when I'm prepared to share that information, I will. Okay, but you will need a VPN if you're in the US. They are cost effective. All right, look how quick that thing went back to its trailing stop. So look, I'm going to have to look at the 5-second chart to see if we can get another signal here. All right, so I mean, look at this. That 5-second move. Well, that was around here somewhere, and it got tapped out. I don't know if it was this trade over here. All right, let's see. Let's wait for the next trade. Let me know if you guys have any questions about this. Now, if you're interested in the Trade Scanner Pro, again, there's a link in the description. Here's our heads up. We should be getting a signal soon. There's a link in the description. You could try it out for 14 days for free. Now, please do me a favor. If you sign up for the free trial and you want to cancel it, don't wait till day 15 and then get billed and then send me an email saying that you want your money back, because there are no refunds. That's unfair to me. I can't be responsible for your lack of attention. I mean, I had one guy tell me that he had no idea that he was going to get billed. I don't know how you can say something like that. Okay, so there are no refunds. I have to make that crystal clear. It says it on the website as well. You have plenty of opportunity to cancel. It's very easy to cancel through the website or whatever, and you can do that. You have 14 full days. if you sign up and then you get billed and then I get a message from you, oh, I want my money back. I'm not robbing you, man. I just can't hold your hand, and it's very cumbersome for me to refund the money, and there's a chargeback and all that other stuff. So please be responsible. If you're not capable of tracking those type of details, the market's not the right place for you, because the market is this is a very extremely detailed game. You have to be really on top of details. All right, I never got a signal here. What am I going to do? This is a 5-second chart. So I'm going to wait, because a signal will come. All right, on a 5-second chart, signals are going to be very frequent. I may have to wait 5 minutes. All right, I could wait 5 minutes. I may have to wait 10 minutes. All right, no big deal. You're going to have to watch the market move your way. This would have been a nice trade if I had gotten into that, if that was a trade. What price? Let's see. What was that? What would that have been if I bought it here, like it suggested? 300 points. All right. So again, we're waiting for a pullback. That's what the Trade Scanner Pro looks for. And at this time frame, these are micro pullbacks. Like a 1-minute chart, you'll never see a pullback like this. This is like a blip on a 1-minute chart. This is 5 seconds. Remember, it takes what? Every 5, 10, 15, 20. So what? Every 12 seconds, or every 12 bars. There's 12 bars in 1 minute. Okay, so that's a lot of candles. That's a lot of information. We're seeing a lot of detail here. So things are going to be very erratic. One thing you don't want to do on a 5-second chart is judge like candlestick patterns and stuff like that. They're going to be highly random. Okay, we're getting another potential signal here. Let's see if this turns into something. If it does, I'm going to buy it. Now, keep in mind, I'm buying 2 coins. This is not the size that I'd be able to afford on a $1,000 account, because the leverage, I don't have there it is. The DEX that I'm using, the decentralized exchange that I'm using, only allows 20 times leverage. This is a very tight stop, by the way. So this can easily get stopped out. 20 times leverage, I'm not going to be able to afford 2 coins. 2 coins is basically $200,000. I'm getting stopped out of this. All right, no problem. Got to respect the stops. Even if it's a few points like that and it turns right around, we got another signal. All right, I'm going to take that. That's going to happen at times. I may get stopped out again. That's the nature of a 5-second chart. Okay, so if this one taps out, then I'll go to a slightly larger time frame. I'll go to like maybe the 15 or 30 second. Now, so I have 2 contracts. The idea is to get out of one at the profit objective. We're almost there. Remember, this is very erratic. This thing can go right to break even in like 2 seconds. Okay, can we get to the profit objective? Okay, there we are. Sold 1 just above the profit objective. Now, I'm going to try to ride the trailing stop. Okay, this is another nice feature of the Trade Scanner Pro is the trailing stop. If I get a random runner, which this could turn into, like this thing may run 500 points randomly out of nowhere. No way to forecast that. The trailing stop is likely to keep me in the trade. The trailing stop reduces my risk constantly. I went from a trade that had risk to basically a break-even trade in just a matter of seconds. See, this is now, if we go to the trailing stop, I bang it out there and I just give back my profit. I should not be taking a loss now, especially since I locked one in. This is how you use this tool. I don't have to think anymore. It's now either I get out at some random high price if I decide to get out randomly, or I get out at the trailing stop. So because I'm on a 5-second chart, I'll give the trailing stop a chance here. If it touches the trailing stop, I bang it out. So remember, there's going to be a lot of noise, and the Trade Scanner Pro simplifies all of that for me. I don't have to sit here and guess and be double tap, I gotta get out. Like, no reacting here. You cannot react to this price action. It's going to be very random. That's the whole idea. Okay, out. Goodbye. So that's how quick it is on a 5-second chart. All right. So I got away with some green there. Not a whole lot, but I got something. Let's go on maybe we can get something a little more sustainable on a 15-second chart. Anything? Okay, we got no signals there yet. So look, that little 5-second signal was this bullish pin bar situation. Look at that. This is the 15-second. right? Or maybe it was this one. I think it was this one over here. And then that pin bar just tapped me out is what happened. All right, no problem. That's the noise. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm going to stick to the rules. Touches the trailing stop, I'm out. Because that will protect you. This thing hasn't pulled back significantly yet. Okay, I'm on the 15-second. There's no real pullback. These are micro pullbacks that I'm trying to take advantage of with the Trade Scanner Pro. When the music stops, this thing is going to pull back more significantly. And that's where my 1 minute will give me a better entry. Look, this is the 1 minute. I got nothing on here. It's a slow grind higher. And you see, the Trade Scanner Pro allowed me to capture a trade inside of this slow grind. But I have to be very sensitive to the stop loss, because when this thing pulls back more significantly, like on the 1 minute, it's going to be very dramatic on the 5-second chart. You understand how that works? So let me know if you have any questions about this, guys. Let me check my paper trade. Let's see, how am I doing P&L wise here? Let's go to my account history. Let's just take a look here, because I had a losing trade to start off with. So 117. You notice all those negative numbers. That's because I'm getting billed for commissions. I have like commission setting on here so that it's a little more realistic. I don't know if these commission prices that I have set are realistic for most exchanges. It might be a little low. I suspect it's a little low, but at least it subtracts something. Okay. So how much was that? 117. So let's just say about 150. And I made back 134 plus 35. So basically break even. Okay, so I basically made my money back on that trade. And here's the 1 minute. It just keeps going. Right? So that was kind of an early exit. They tapped me out. All right, no problem. Back to my 5-second chart. We still don't have any major levels in front of us. The momentum is still bullish. I want to respect that. In fact, the Trade Scanner Pro tells me that, but I don't even need the Trade Scanner Pro to tell me that. I can simply draw a trend line, right? That's bullish. So I should be looking for pullbacks and going long. A trend line can tell me that. Okay, so maybe we'll get a setup here soon. I'd prefer a pullback like on a 15-second chart, something, or maybe a 30-second chart, something a little more. Okay, look, we got a bearish pin bar here on the 30-second. Okay, see that? That's good. Maybe we'll get a more significant pullback, and I will get a signal on a larger time frame. I prefer. Look, I mean, look at this. We haven't gotten a signal on this time frame since over here, 59 bars ago. So that would be 30 minutes ago. We haven't gotten a signal on the 30-second. For 30 minutes. So this thing's not pulling back. All right. We're still in the slow grind. All right. So let me go back to the 15-second. It's just when we get the significant pullback, it's going to be significant. And you just have to be aware of that. Don't get all caught up with what you see. You have to think ahead. So when I see this, I'm not thinking here. I'm thinking here. You understand? Like, let me drag that like a little clearer. I'm thinking I want to buy it there. That's what I'm thinking now. Most people will be thinking, it's going to go up here. It's going to go to 10,000 or whatever. It's going to go to 109. You know, the people they project what they see forward. So they're thinking up here. Maybe it goes up there, but this is not high probability. That's the problem with this. So I'm thinking here. This is high probability. If we can get there, I don't know if we're going to get there. We might get there. The thing is, that's what I'm preparing for. And the Trade Scanner Pro can help me. But that's what I want to see, okay, the pullback. These little micro pullbacks, right, I have really, look, so far, these are the pullbacks. I mean, these are nothing. I managed to buy this one here, right, and I banged it out here. Banged it out too early. Look at this thing. It would have been a beautiful trade. That was on the 5-second chart. Let's go back to the 5-second. That trade was here. Okay. Look at this thing run. One thing you can do too is when you take a trade, like on such a small time frame or a smaller time frame, and the trade is working, you can use the larger time frame to help guide you. Or sometimes there's a trade that's occurring at the same time on a larger time frame. For example, I may get like the 5-second signal, but there may be a signal on the 30-second or the 1 hour or the 1 minute that's in play, right? And I may be able to use the levels from that. Okay, we may get a signal here. I'm going to prepare to buy 2 contracts. Now, again, I like to buy 2 contracts so that I could sell one at the profit objective and then try to let one run. That's the whole idea. If this was my $1,000 account, then basically I would try to buy 2 units, right? That may be 2/8 of a Bitcoin or 2/16 of a Bitcoin. And then I would sell 1/16 at the profit objective and try to let 1/16 of it ride. That's how that would work. Because again, I'm not going to be able to trade full coins on a $1,000 account. So you're looking at fractions of Bitcoin, which the platform lets you do very easily, by the way. All right, waiting for a signal. This may give a signal. No signal. All right. Again, it's getting very erratic here. It's 5 seconds. 5-second charts are a pain. No signal. What am I going to do? Let me go to a 15-second. Now, one thing I'm not going to do is, like, I'm not going to go, there's no point in going to a 1 second. Man, look at that, should have been something. No signal. Hasn't pulled back far enough. It gave us the heads up, but no signal. That's going to happen. This thing, in order for the signal to appear, this thing had to pull back just a little bit more, and it failed to do so. But that's patience, man. You got to be patient. Any questions? Any questions? All right, so we're still waiting. Still waiting. By the way, if you want to sign up for the Trade Scanner Pro, there's a link in the description. That link will take you to this page right here. You scroll through the page, read a little bit about it. Here's your sign-up area. You could sign up for 14 days for free. You click on this button over here, and then you could fill in this form that's coming up over here that you'll see. This form, TradingView, is the most important part of the form. You have to fill out the whole form, put your payment information and all that, but you have to make sure that you put the correct TradingView username in this field. If you do not, you will not get a notification. So when you fill that out correctly, a notification usually takes about 30 minutes to 1 hour. You'll get your notification on TradingView, and then you can put it on your chart. It's very simple. And then you have to go to your control panel, like I said, and you have to fill in these boxes. So let's see if we get a signal. And we'll try to work with it. So at least one thing is, so far, I'm working on the right side. The market's been working its way higher, and I've been looking for longs. Let's take a look at our 1 hour chart and see how are things making out over here. Interesting. So remember, when we started out, we were like over here in this area, remember? And we're going with the bullish momentum. This is bullish momentum. That's what it is. We're not at the resistance yet. So I really should not be excited about shorts. I should not be looking for counter trend moves here because we're just not there yet. If I was going to do that, I should be doing it up here somewhere. See how that helps? This is a nice strong candle. All right. Doesn't mean it's going to continue, but right now it's bullish. We got higher lows on the smaller time frame. That's keeping me looking for longs. Plus the Trade Scanner Pro is also telling me trend is bullish on this time frame, which is 5 seconds. Like I recommend this time frame should be 1 minute, not 5 seconds. But in order for me to demonstrate, I have to do it on such a small time frame. All right, any questions? Guys, don't feel bashful. Don't be afraid. There are no dumb questions. I'm happy to answer any question. You have a question about the system, you have a question about position sizing, risk, support, resistance levels, anything. Feel free to ask. All right. So We're not up here. I'm still open to longs. Maybe we get some mini pullback in here. And that's it. Notice, I'm not forming any opinions. I'm not saying, hey, we're going to go up here, because I have no idea. And I don't pretend to know where the market's going. All I do is identify levels and then put a probability on that level. Basically saying, okay, the trend is bullish. I'm at a support level. There's a better chance the support level will hold. I should be thinking long, because that's where the probability is favorable. That's it. And I could still be wrong. And it may break that support. So my risk has to be defined. I need to get out if it breaks with support. I gave it a try. It failed. That's how you play this game. You don't sit there and say, well, I think it's going to do this. And then you go in with some type of certainty, because there's no certainty. Some news can come out in the next 5 minutes and this thing will be minus 1,000 points out of nowhere, because some news came out that I'm not aware of. So that's the game we play, especially on these time frames. All right, so I'm still waiting for something here. I'm hoping we can get another signal. I'm not going to just jump in for the sake of jumping in, and I'm not going to take a signal for the sake of taking a signal. I know what I'm looking for here, right? We've made that very clear. And I'm not open to shorts until we get to certain levels. And when we get to certain levels, and if I have to do that, if I have to play that game, that's where I would turn counter trend on. And then it would start looking for shorts. Why? Why do I have to turn counter trend on? Because most likely, if we push those resistances, the trend is still going to be bullish. So in order to get a bearish trade, counter trend needs to be on. That's the whole point. Now, I'm not going to get into a lot more detail on that. It can be confusing for people. I am working on some videos that will explain that in more detail. I believe I touch on that. There's some videos on my YouTube channel also where I touch on that. Can you take a look at levels on daily chart on Dogecoin? All right, I can do that while we're waiting, because there's nothing to do here. I'll switch this chart over here, Dogecoin. Savi, you like those garbage coins, huh? Okay, let's take a look what we have here. We can take a look at mix C. Well, here's the futures. It doesn't matter. It's gonna be the same. You want to go to the daily? Well, it looks very similar to Bitcoin. First of all, looks very similar. Okay, so daily time frame support right here. You have a pin bar coming right off of it. Interesting. Resistance. You have one over here. You have one over here somewhere. And then obviously you have one up here. Those are your levels on the daily time frame. So this thing's consolidating clearly. If you break this support, what is that, 30 cents? Yeah, 3612. You break that, most likely Bitcoin's breaking in that situation. And if you're long, you want to get out if you're faced with that. Otherwise, a long attempt would make sense here for a swing trade, at least back to the middle of the range or something. I'd say that. Make sense? Answer your question? Good question. Back to Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's obviously relatively stronger than Dogecoin. But we know the story. You know, Dogecoin is all about, you know, tweets and drama and that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're definitely at an attractive level, Savi, for sure. And you can easily define your risk with that pin bar. Man, this thing just doesn't give me a chance. Look at this. Like, this is a 5-second chart and I'm not getting anything. I mean, what do I have to do? Go to a 1-second chart? That's the lowest level I can go, and I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous level. One second is, you can't do anything with that. If I can't get signals on a 5-second chart, there are no signals. I mean, this is ridiculous. So, and that just says something about this thing. It's a grind. It's a grind. Imagine all the shorts that just keep shorting this and shorting this and shorting this and shorting this. They keep getting squeezed. That's what's happening here. Right? So I'm not going to chase it. Notice we're getting close to this resistance. We're not there though, but we're getting close. So I'm not going to sit here and go nuts and short this thing now. I want to see what kind of action we get, if we can get up there, first of all. So I'm still open to longs. Okay. Now, if we get up there, if we manage to make it up here and we get a sharp rejection, I may be open to shorts after the sharp rejection. So I'm letting the market reject first. I'm not going to bet on the rejection. Okay, here we go. Possible signal. Now, this location, man, I'm a little hesitant, but we'll give it a try if we get the signal. We'll probably get a signal here because we're near the resistance now. We're near it. So if the market's going to have a significant pullback, this is probably where it's going to start. But all right, we'll go for a signal if it gives us one. Maybe we get one more there. Okay, now let's see if we can get a sustainable green candle. See if it turns red right away. I'm not touching that. That's the way you have to treat this on a 5-second. If we go back through that blue line, I'll take, see what I mean? That's why I held up on that. That's why I was hesitant on that one. Maybe get another signal here. Let's see. This could be the more significant pullback now. All right. Let's take a look at a 30-second chart. Oh, wait, hold on. I just missed it. There was a signal in there. Okay, here we go. How are we doing here? All right, I'm going to try this one. Long. Again, this is tricky because this may be like the real pullback now. The pullback that unfolds on the 1 minute, okay, which will be steep on this 5-second chart. So keep in mind, I'm always thinking about multiple time frames, even though I may not be showing them. I'm thinking, what's happening on that 1 minute chart? What's happening on that bigger picture? Now, maybe we get that attempt for the high here. Maybe we get that attempt for the profit objective. And that's what I was saying before. That's what's nice about the Trade Scanner Pro. It tells me the profit objective. So I don't have to sit here and be like, hey, it's gonna go all the way up here. Right? No, I have a profit objective. The Trade Scanner Pro is telling me this is a reasonable place for price to go. And that's where I should be taking money off the table if we get there. This is shaky, and this may be the pullback. The pullback that we haven't gotten for the previous 30 minutes. And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to be buying it if we're going to get caught in like the big pullback. I'm going to buy the bottom of that. All right, here we go. Can we get the profit objective? Yes or no? I may be quick to take something off the table here because I just don't like the location. And we may be getting a transition here. We'll see. So I'm going to be more sensitive here. There's my trailing stop just appeared. Can we get that profit objective? Yes or no? It's up to the market. It's not up to me. It should pop. Like, if we're going to continue higher, it should pop. Especially on a 5-second. Like, we should see pops. Not this hesitant nonsense. We should be getting pops. Okay. A little bit more. There we go. All right. Took one off. Now, let's see if I can ride this now. Let's see if we could get a little bit more of a move. Now, expecting a runner here is probably unreasonable. Because, again, we've just run on that hourly chart. We've run enormously. What time is it? Oh, it's 4 o'clock. Okay, so we have the new candle open here on the hourly. So, look where we are on the hourly. Do we continue up into this resistance? Possibly. But this may be a rejection area. So I should not be all excited like, hey, this thing's going to run to 105. Like, I should not be very optimistic here. I should be defensive. But look where my trailing stop is. Well, I'm almost at the profit objective with my trailing stop. So, all right. The market wants to keep me in. I'll stay in. Once we touch that trailing stop, I'm out. Just respect the orders. Out. Goodbye. I don't care what happens from here. I'm respecting the order, especially up here. I'm going to respect the orders. Okay, so let's see how we were doing there. 200, 208, and 209. Okay. All right. Not bad. And look, it's giving the whole thing back. So do you see how, like, using the Trade Scanner Pro plus shaping my expectations based on the location. We may get more signals here, but I'm done. I'm not going to keep at this because I don't like this location. We have not really pulled back, and the real pullback may come now. So that's why it's so important to be aware of where you are on the roadmap. See, look, another signal. But I'm not going to be so quick to take these. Oh man, I went straight to the profit objective. Look at that. Now we're getting all the signals, right? Oh man, look, that's the big winner. What am I going to do? I just don't like this location. Why couldn't we get this, at lower prices? Why do we have to get this up here? Respect the location and don't jump to any conclusions just because we have a higher low. It doesn't guarantee we're going to get the higher high. Who knows what's going to happen in this area? It's random. It's highly random. So if you always accept that fact that it's highly random, it's going to help you. It's going to help you adjust your sensitivity to the position. So this is all over the place now, right? Nothing for me to do. And I'm not going to keep taking signals. I think I had a couple of decent trades. You have to know when to walk away. Even if the market looks hot. I missed the hot. The hot was all throughout here and I got no signals. I would be much more comfortable buying if we were coming off of this low, right? Rather than buying. Look where I'm buying. Look where I'd be aggressively buying. Do I want to be aggressively buying up here? No. Now, if we clear, maybe we clear the area. Maybe we push above and we clear it. Okay, if we can clear it, maybe I'd be open to some pullbacks. Maybe we're in a sustained trend at that point, possibly. Again, I don't know. Just like when we were pulling back here, there was probably numerous shorting opportunities. Look at these little tails on these hourly candles, right? Numerous shorting opportunities throughout this entire move. So that's what I'm really trying to capture with the Trade Scanner Pro. These little mini opportunities that you're not going to see on a 1 minute or on other time frames. That's how I'm doing this here. Okay. So anyway, any questions? How am I doing with time here? All right, that's a good amount of time. Any questions? So again, you know where to find the Trade Scanner Pro. Wow, look at this. Nice. We're going right back up to that area. Nice. Milad, does Dogecoin appears to be bullish to you on a daily chart? In other words, well, here's the thing. That's a good question. I'm not going to, general big picture, the general trend is bullish because it's a consolidation higher or low. If I go back to Dogecoin, but it's how you judge the trend is going to be dependent on your type of trade. Okay, here's Dogecoin. So this is certainly not a bearish trend. So bigger picture, it's bullish. Middle picture or the midterm, this is consolidation. So there's markets don't always trend. That's a range. So generally it's bullish, but this more short term is range bound, and very short term, this movement right here is bearish. This little leg is bearish. But look where we are relative to that leg. We're at this support level. So that's attractive for longs. I would be open to the long. The thing is, I would not have great expectations, meaning I would not be expecting Doji to go all the way back up here. But going to the middle of the range is within reason. So it's ideal for a swing trade on this time frame. And look, that's a beautiful pin bar. Now, what you don't want to see is if you get long and it breaks the low of that pin bar, that's a loss. Like I would not hold it beyond that point. You take the loss and see if it can find another support nearby or something, maybe gives you another long. But that's how I would treat that. It's a nice looking chart for a swing trade long. Make sense? Good question. So some people, they're always thinking in terms of investing, but I'm thinking that's a swing trade. Investing levels, you can invest at any level, but you have to know where you are on the roadmap. And that location, as far as investing, this is my 1 minute. I guess it is. Yeah, this thing's still working its way higher. Oh, okay. Yeah, so your long position, how you manage that is going to depend on your trade expectations. If it's an investment, well, you try to give it a chance, but again, I wouldn't be highly expectant of it. If you're flat and you're looking for a swing trade, certainly attractive on the long side. But for new investing, like new money, that's not the most attractive level. Okay, yeah. So it all depends. Your expectations are really going to be weighted by the type of trade you're looking at. So anything short term, definitely I'd be leaning long on a situation like that. But I could be wrong. And wrong means you break the low of that pin bar. That means I'm wrong. Okay, that's what happens. And it happens. Look at this. We're at the resistance. Now we're right there in it. Now we're fooling around in there. They shook me out of this thing 2 times. And I was long both times. Look at this. So let's just fool around here. We're just going in a straight line, it seems. This is the 30-second chart. Let's go back to the 5-second chart. I mean, this has been nothing but bullish. Higher lows, higher highs, and any attempt at the short side has been minimal. All these selling attempts just get bought right up. All right, no problem. So what do I do in this situation? We are at a resistance. Should I just start shorting it? No. Should I go into counter trend mode and start shorting it? No. Here's why. The market needs to prove that this resistance is resistance first before I start looking for trades. So we need to break something here. We need to break some kind of level. And I'm not really going to be able to spot that on a 5-second chart. So back to the 1 minute. What the hell? Oh. So back to the 5 minute. I'm sorry, the 1 minute. I need to see on this chart, look at this move. We've been watching my whole stream. We've been watching this move. It's a good thing I haven't been shorting it. But in order for me to start shorting, even to turn on the counter trend mode, I don't even have a level here. There's nothing here. The first level I have is here on a 1 minute. What is that? 101,352. That's the first level I have. So are we going to pull all the way back to that level first? I doubt it. If we're going to be a short, we're probably going to do some kind of initial move first, right? The market, again, has to prove itself. So I'm not jumping to conclusions here. The market needs to provide proof. So first we need to pull back. Then we need to try to rally again, and we need to break that support. Even if it's minor, I need to see something like that. That's better. Like normally in these demonstrations, I would just turn counter trend mode on and just short it. But I usually run into problems when I do that. Okay, so I'm not going to just step in front of the level. Let the level prove itself. Just like the support level over here had to prove itself. Like, look, we touched the level, and it's not like we've gone up in a straight line off the level. We retested over here, right? We retested over here too. There were some previous tests. So for me to short, I want to see at least one test, something. I'm not going to short a straight line to the top. I'm not going to do that. So that's how you can, again, help filter out your trade ideas by letting the market first give you some sign and then put the Trade Scanner Pro on looking for trades. Because the Trade Scanner Pro ideally wants to see momentum going on one side. And then it looks for pullbacks, brief pullbacks in that momentum to give you a high probability entry. That's really the goal. So you want to see moves like this transpiring and looking for entries inside such a move. That's a nice momentum-filled move. And there were some entries in there, as we saw. We don't have a move going the other way yet. And usually the initial move, if we're going to turn, usually you get a pretty significant move. Like all of this bullish movement should be given back. This level should be rejected like right away. And more significant than what we see there. All right, so make sense? All right, so let's turn on the, I'm going to go back to the hourly here. Now let's switch back. Now look, I'm going to get a lot of buy signals here. That's another buy signal here. And that's on my 5-second chart. But we're right in the midst of the resistance. So this is going to be tricky. I'm not going to take that long because of the location. So you see, I'm filtering this out with my knowledge. Filtering it out. Not going to take this. Because why would I buy in the midst of a major resistance? So let's go to a 15-second chart. All right, here's a little bit of a pullback here. These two blue lines represent the resistance that I've identified. If I'm going to take a long up in this area, I'd prefer to do it on a larger time frame rather than a 5-second. Okay, this is a nice move. I'm not doing anything with that. Nice move. But this is still resistance. All right, so there are going to be times when you get this conflict and it's tricky. And the market's going to do all kinds of things. You can't react to the market. You have to figure out your plan and then follow the plan. So this is still not ripe for a short yet. So I'm not going to, I just want to put counter trend mode on just to see what it looks like. All right, so here's counter trend mode. And look, it even called the trade right out here. It called the trade up here. See that? That's a very aggressive trade. Never made it to the profit objective yet. Went back to the entry price. And the trailing stop is in play. All right, so just to be a wise guy, I think I'll try to take, I'll take one contract if I do it. In fact, I'll wait for this one. I'll let this one play out and I'll wait for the next one. Because like I said, I want to see this thing give back some structure here. We don't have anything like that. Let's go back to the 1 minute. What's going on here? We have a trade on the 1 minute as well on counter trend mode. Interesting. And we're back to the entry price. All right. And that's our higher low. All right. So if we can push beyond that a bit on that 1 minute, I'll try the short. And this trade most likely will stay intact on the chart. So my profit objective would be here. My stop loss is up here. Right now, this trade is going the wrong way, right? So I'm not in it, just watching it. But I do have a new reference level. Because remember, we're at a general resistance. I have a little higher low right here. So that I could use that as my reference level. I know that might be confusing for some people, but do your best to follow along. Notice too that there were some other attempts. See these trades over here? These were also short attempts, which failed. There's another short attempt over here, which failed. But I wasn't looking for shorts in those areas. I'm looking here. I'm open to the idea in this area because we're at resistance. Let's go back to our 1 hour chart. All right, got a little line over here. Look at my 1 hour. Interesting. Look where we are. So that could be a failed high. That's why I'm open to the short. If this 1 minute can go back below this blue line, that would basically be breaking this higher low. And I'll be open. I'll give it a try with one contract instead of two, because I'm being more conservative in case I'm wrong. All right, but I'm not doing anything yet. I'm just formulating the idea. See that? And the Trade Scanner Pro helps me. So if I do manage to take the short, so where do I get out? Right here. All right, let's see how we're doing here. We got a few seconds before this candle closes. Gave back the green candle. All right. I would like to see the break of the low, though. I'd like to see the break of this low. Until we get that, I'm just going to sit here and stare at it. This trade may go to the stop too, right? This idea may go to the stop. So just because an idea is on the chart doesn't mean you have to take the trade. You have to evaluate a bit. You should. This could be a random trade. But the only reason why I'm open to it is because of the location. Please understand that. If you don't understand that, please ask me. If you have any question about that, because that can be confusing. And I want you to have a good experience with the Trade Scanner Pro. It's a tool that we developed to help improve your experience, not some nonsense tool like so many other people develop. In fact, we have Stian has been very busy, but he's working on an upgrade that will be very exciting for me to see, because it's going to change a few things. We're going to remove these boxes up here. And what we're going to do instead is we're going to put a line on the bottom of the chart, and it's going to change color as the trend changes. So it's going to be the trend status, and it's going to be more visually intuitive. So I think it'll be much easier than having to read what this box says and all this, and the box changing and all that kind of stuff. They'll be much more user-friendly. But it's not an easy task for him. It's not like he can, just write a few lines of code and it's done. It requires work, and he's working on it. Plus, he has a full-time job, so he works on it when he can, and it's not something he can figure out overnight. But when he has it done, it'll be a very exciting upgrade. So everyone that has a TradeScanner Pro will automatically get the upgrade, because that's what we do. We push the upgrade. All right, this thing is not happening here. Nothing happening. Also, when we do get that upgrade, and I'm happy with it, I'm going to raise the price. I've been talking about raising the price for a while, but that's going to be my catalyst to raise the price. So again, it's going to be much more than $30 a month for the monthly. I mean, $30 a month is kind of cheap to begin with for this thing. And people still have a hard time paying that. Would you believe that? Like, if you can't pay $30 a month for a tool, I'm afraid you're in the wrong game. Like, I'm not trying to make people feel bad, but we have to be realistic here. $30, with inflation these days, $30, I could barely buy a sandwich with that. Okay, very big sandwich, but still, it's you have to have money to play with to get somewhere in this game. These ideas of having a $100 account or a $500 account and then making $10,000 from it, that's just a dream that they sell you, and you have to stop getting misled by that. All right, I'm waiting for this to break. If we break, I'm going to short. That's my plan. And the only reason I'm doing it's aggressive. It's an aggressive position, but I like the location. That's it. Now, keep in mind, I'm not expecting a lot from the short because this momentum is bullish. I'm not expecting the short to take price all the way back to here. Maybe we pull back a fraction of the way. Okay, here we go. We're almost there. I may just take it early. All right, I'm going to do it a little bit early. Hopefully, it doesn't reverse in my face like it likes to do. All right, so I shorted one contract. Okay, we just broke this little low over here. I shorted one contract off of this resistance area. Now, I only shorted one because I'm not as confident with the position. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Not bad. I'll give it a chance. I'm going to erase these blue lines because this could be confusing. But that's the reason why that's the reason why I was even open to the short, was because of the location. And I used the TradeScanner Pro to give me some precise levels to work with. All right, so my risk is defined and my profit objective is defined on my one lot. I could get out here, this is basically 1-to-1. I can get out there and be happy with it, but I'm going to try to give it a chance. Hopefully it doesn't give back the entire profit on me, like the market likes to do. Okay. So this I hope you could see where this can help you, because I know that I should be exiting here if the market can get there, rather than having some unrealistic expectation that just because I shorted the resistance that we're going to go all the way back to the bottom. We might, but the probability of that is lower, right? And I'm not interested in low probabilities. I'm interested in high probabilities. And there's a much greater probability that we touch this profit objective. That's what I'm looking for. So let's see. I'm on the 1 minute now. Keep in mind, this is a 1 minute. This is the pullback that we were waiting for before that we never got for the longs. Okay. And I'm short. So let's see how this candle closes out. How much time do we have in the candle? 2 seconds. All right. I don't like that candle. It's a bullish pin bar. Let's give the next candle a chance. If this thing gets too jumpy on me, I'm going to have to get out. Would have been nice to get out at the bottom of the candle, but that's not going to happen. That's not realistic. So if you're in a trade like this, it's either, you have a few choices. Profit objective, if you just want to follow the orders outright, or stop loss. Now, I don't want to take the full stop loss. I know that going into it. And I have some green, and I'm just going to be a little more sensitive to it because I want to protect my profit. Not the profit of this trade, but the profit that I've taken earlier today. All right, that's what I'm interested in protecting. This was an aggressive trade, and I'm trying to see if I can get a little out of it. All right, it's turning red. If this candle closes red, I will give it a chance. All right, got a few seconds. All right, this is a red candle. Okay, closed red. I'll give it a chance. My trailing stop hasn't appeared yet because the trade hasn't been in my favor long enough. Remember on the other trades, the trailing stop appears right away. That's because I was on a 5-second chart. This is a minute chart, so it's going to take longer. If this candle closes green here, I'm not going to be happy with that. Again, I'm being very sensitive right now because I don't want to give back any of that profit that I took earlier. So I'm going to be a little more sensitive than I usually should be in this situation. Theoretically, I should be basically letting it go to one place or the other, profit objective or stop loss. Ideally, that's where you want to be. I'm being a little biased right now because I'm in profit protection mode. All right, inside bar. It's green. So if we start pushing higher, I'm just going to buy it back. If we turn around, we still may turn around quickly. If we turn around quickly, I'll try to hold on. If not, I'm getting out. Giving it a chance. Not working. A little bit more of a chance. Okay. Do we want to reject or do we want to turn around here? Now, mind you, if I was in trend mode, a signal would probably be appearing here because this is a significant pullback on the 1 minute. Okay, so if you're watching that time frame, it can be confusing. But again, what's motivating me is this location. All right, I'm done with this. I'm out. I don't like that. So why am I going to watch this thing go all the way back up against me and all that other stuff? I gave the short a chance. This is what it wants to do. It's back to where I entered anyway. The trade is still, theoretically, the trade is still in play. So one thing I could do, I got out, but one thing I can do is if I get a rejection here, I can get back in. See, it's kind of rejecting. I can get back in and try to play with that again if that lower high wants to stick. Let's see. We got 30 seconds on that. Right? And that's how you can, something like this, like you may pull up a 15-minute chart or a 30-minute chart, and you may have a situation just like this where you have a trade in play and you have another entry opportunity. Okay, look at that. No, that's too far now. I'm not going to chase that. All right, so they shook me out, but I don't want to take any chances in this situation. Right? I'm just trying to be as realistic as possible. I'm not going to short this now. If I'm going to short it, we need to be up somewhere near here, not here. So see how that works? So we tried that. How much was I able to pull out of that? Let's see. On that one, not much. This is that trade over here, $89. All right. It was worth a lot. Oh, man, look, now it's the profit objective. All right, whatever. At least the short was giving me good guidance. Okay, at least it was the right idea. So again, the idea came from the level, right? The level. I wasn't going to short up there. I was not interested in shorts, like I said before, unless we reached a level. And we reached the level. When we started going long at the beginning, we were going long in this area. There was no level in that area. So I was open to the longs. There was no resistance in my face. And there was potential to reach resistance, right? Do you see like how the trade idea originates based on that bigger picture? Right? And now I'm done. Like I'm not going to trade anymore. Okay, I think it was a decent session considering time of day and all that stuff. So any questions? I don't see any questions. Any questions? Don't be shy. So you see how the Trade Scanner Pro works. Okay, I'm going to take this off of counter trend mode now. All right, counter trend mode. Back in trend mode. So this is where you're going to start to see long signals. But just keep in mind, if you take longs now, look where you're coming from. Look where the market's coming from. One long may be justified, but remember, we're not at nice low prices. So expectations should be low. Make sense? So always use that roadmap to kind of gauge your expectations and shape them. And as the market changes, like what if the market develops a low over here, and then this hourly candle, by the time the hourly candle closes, it closes up here. Like what if it does that? Because some stupid news comes out, you know, in the next 10 minutes, and we close up there. We have to adjust at that point. And we're obviously still looking for longs in that situation. Okay? So you're always adjusting. You're never coming to conclusions and then staying with that conclusion. You always have to be open to new ideas, and you're maintaining an open mind is probably the most important thing especially when you're dealing with small time frames. All right, you guys. So I don't see any questions. I hope you guys got some value out of this. Again, check the links in the description. There's a video on how the Trade Scanner Pro works. There's a link to sign up for the 14-day free trial. I hope to see some new people sign up. Make sure you put your TradingView username in there correctly. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at mark@markpremarkets.com. You can send me a message on TradingView. Those are the best places to reach me the fastest. If you get any messages from me unsolicited, it's not me. I don't send messages out to people unsolicited. If you get a message from Steen, if you get a message from Alex, they're unsolicited, then it's most likely a scammer, and they're going to most likely ask you for money and all that stuff. Please don't be victim to that. Please know better and block that person, report that person to the platform so that other people don't get scammed. All right. Hey, you TXO, how are you? You know, I have to talk to the rental company because, you know, I'm not going to buy one. I'm going to rent it like everyone else. I'm going to rent it, and then I'm going to get a laptop, and I'm going to put it in the passenger seat. Okay. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rent a girl, a nice looking girl, and I'm going to put the laptop in her lap, and then I'm going to trade from that. How do you like that? I've never seen anyone do that. Like, yeah, I've seen the rented car. Okay. I'm going to rent a girl. I'm going to put her there and then laptop. And in fact, I'll give her the trade, and I'll tell her to place the trades, and I'll record that from my whatever. What do you think of that idea? It's a great idea, right? Now that would I'd probably have 100 signups in 1 minute if I was driving around like that with a pretty girl with the laptop and be like, yeah, this is how you make money. Right. All right. All rented like everyone else on Instagram. Anyway, yeah. So that's a great sales technique. I may do that just as a joke, and I probably still generate sales. All right, you guys. You know what? I would do it just for the fun of it, just to be having a nice car and a pretty girl. I'll wear like a nice suit, you know, and all that stuff. And I'll make it really like fancy and take lots of pictures for Instagram. And people will probably believe it, you know, and then I'll ruin it and be like, by the way, this is all fake. All right, you guys. Hey, thanks for the laugh. All right. So you guys, again, I covered all that stuff. You know where to find me. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you again for watching.